a very fact-based person. My background is a medical doctor, and then I spent 25 years after my clinical experience in drug industry, in research and development predominantly. And what I do is basically look at clinical and scientific data to determine if a company has a viable product that can be developed and eventually commercialized. I started as like many people, wanting to do clinical medicine, and I actually trained to be a nephrologist, a kidney specialist. And as I was going through my clinical training, I became more and more frustrated that I had very limited resources to do things for my patients, and I became increasingly aware that the best way I could help is actually be involved in the technology side, in the development of new medicines and new therapeutics. And I felt that would be more rewarding for me and for patients, because I could not just treat the one patient at a time, but if I was involved in the development of new medicines, it would be able to or enable many patients to receive treatment. I would say not so much career challenges, but making changes in my career. I never thought when I first started in applying to medical school and going through medical training that I ever envisaged I would have the career I did. So at certain points when I became, if you like, frustrated with where I was, there was always an urge to change, and that comes with challenges. You know, we are much more comfortable in what we're doing, and there wasn't a need to change, but I knew inside I wanted to do something different. So the greatest challenge was to actually not listen to others or my inner voice saying you might fail, or is this the right thing for you, but to follow my heart and my instinct. I think probably recognizing earlier that this was going to be my career path, and listening to my voice a little earlier maybe. But I have no regrets, because everything I learned in clinical medicine I'm able to apply, and so there's no wrong or right answer. You know, I think all of these things are experiences. I never regret anything I've done, because you learn from your mistakes. And those people who are afraid of making mistakes will never be successful, because there is always a significant chance you will fail. There is never 100% certainty. In fact, many times you're very uncertain, but it's those people who make decisions and based upon the facts in front of them at that time are the ones that are likely to be successful. I would say every day I just love what I do. I would not do anything else. Many people have said, you know, have you thought about doing other things? And I've said no. I mean, I've trained in medicine, I've trained in business, and I'm able to apply the two together, and being extremely fortunate of working for some great companies and developing some really truly innovative medicines that I can say, if those companies didn't exist, and if I didn't make a small contribution to the development of those drugs, a number of those drugs would not be on the market today. Well, I work for a venture capital firm. For 25 years, I actually worked in pharmaceutical and biotech companies where we actually had our own funds and we developed drugs and we commercialized them. Now I'm in a field called venture capital, where large institutions like pension funds, like governments, provide money to venture capitalists to go and invest in promising new technologies. And so my job and my colleagues' job is purely to look at great ideas, and we see many, many great ideas come through our door, from universities, from companies that are already started all over the world. And we look at the science and the technology, and we invest in a few companies every year. So we look at maybe 300-400 ideas and research projects, and out of that every year we maybe invest in 2 or 3 companies, and we invest anywhere from 5 to 20 million per company, and we right now have something like 30 companies in our portfolio, and we support those companies. And I also am running one of our companies in Paris, which is working in a rare genetic disease, and we had very exciting news. We've just got the product approved, and we're about to launch it throughout Europe. That's a very pertinent question. I think if you look in the 20th and early 21st century, it was the age of digital technology. We are now truly in the era of biologic technology. In fact, I met someone very recently who was a very successful digital entrepreneur, starting many companies, and he's now ready for retirement, and he said if he could do it all again, he would now go and learn biology and medicine, because now is the era of biology. And I'm usually not prone to superlatives, but the revolution occurring in biology and medicine today is really something I never thought I would see in my lifetime. We are now beginning to unlock the secrets of the human genome and the secret of how that genome impacts disease, and we have been able to now develop therapeutic options that are really targeted. Things like immunotherapies for cancer are really revolutionizing that whole field. Diseases we thought were incurable are now looking like we are on the cusp of curing many of them, and we've already begun the journey of curing some of those, especially leukemias, with the new field of immunotherapy. So most people who come into this field have strong academic backgrounds. They usually will have a PhD or a medical degree, or in many cases both. And they also many times have been in pharmaceutical companies learning how to develop drugs, because many people think it's, you just come up with a molecule for a disease, and then somehow miraculously it gets to the patient. It doesn't. It takes around 15 years, and on average about $1.3 billion to develop a new medicine. So it's a very long journey, and there are many different people involved in the development of drugs. Whatever field you come from, you can participate in any stage of that life cycle of developing a drug. You can be the bench scientist who is working in what we call in vitro assays and in vivo assays. That's cell and animal models of disease and testing different compounds. You can be a chemist involved in the design and optimization of the molecule itself that will impact the disease. You can be involved in the development of the drug, taking it through phase 1, phase 2, 3 clinical trials. You can be someone in the regulatory world who works with all the government agencies around the world to get the drug approved. You can be an economist involved in trying to justify why the government should pay for this, pharmacoeconomists. You can be even commercial people who are involved in either directly selling the drug, i.e. what we call detailing, or providing information to doctors about the medicine, and for that you don't need advanced degrees. and you can be a pure businessman running a pharmaceutical company, a country commercial sales organization, and then there are many other different professions within this field. You must remember that healthcare is probably the largest industry in the world. In the US, it's almost 18% of the GDP and multi-trillion-dollar market. In the UK, the NHS is the largest employer, and there are many, many jobs, not only on the provider side, but in my world, on developing new drugs.
Thank you for watching, and please do follow the British Pakistan Foundation on our Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook and Twitter accounts.